warm welcome to you on watching my views and news, an important news story for you from the Amhara region of Ethiopia, where Fano fighters have taken control of a strategic Woreda. The Woreda is extremely strategic in terms of its terrain, in terms of its being a place for Fano fighters to connect to a foreign country. Viewers, Fano fighters obviously want to have a link, a land link with some foreign country, because if they are totally under siege, it will be difficult for them to survive. We saw that in Tigray, that Tigray forces fought for 2 years, but their main problem was siege. They could not break the siege totally. Yes, in 2021, they tried to break the siege. They entered Raya, then Wollo, but the larger siege was still put in place. They had no connection with any foreign country, any land connection. Their only land connection was cut off when the war broke out in November 2020. The land connection with Sudan was through Western Tigray, Amhara Volkai. When the war broke out, Eritrean military, Amhara forces, ENDF, they took control of Western Tigray. So Tigray lost its connection with foreign land. Its only connection was with Eritrea in terms of foreign land. Eritrea was part of the war on Tigray. This siege, which was put in place around Tigray, it remained in place for around 2 years. The siege was a devastating siege. One of the reasons why Tigray forces had to make compromises at the table in Pretoria is that the siege was still in place. People of Tigray were dying. No aid was entering. Logistical supplies could not be delivered to Tigray. Only buyer supplies were possible, even those were vulnerable to action from Ethiopian government. So Tigray had to surrender. Other armed groups, they mostly have their bases outside Ethiopia, like Ola. We know Ola has connections abroad. Ola has bases in Kenya. Ola has been forming alliance with GLF and Gomez fighters to connect with Sudan and South Sudan. Now, Fano fighters, they also know that their survival requires that they should have a connection with a foreign country, land connection, so that whenever they are under pressure, they can move to their hideouts in neighboring country, or a connection for supply of arms and other items. Obviously, they need arms, and they cannot get supplies from Tigray, from Somali region, from Oromia, from Addis Ababa. Their only connection possible is with Sudan or South Sudan, mainly Sudan, not South Sudan. Amhara region shares border with Sudan, we know, a long border. And the disputed territory, Volkai, Amhara, shares border with Sudan too. But there is heavy deployment of Ethiopian National Defense Force in Western Tigray, Amhara Volkai. It means that Western Tigray cannot be used by these Fano fighters as a route for their supplies. Anytime Zadu could be pushed, militias could be pushed out of Western Tigray, and the area could come under direct, full control of Ethiopian National Defense Force. So their only connection for survival is that they should be linked to Sudan. They should be in control of those parts of the Amhara region which are on Ethiopia-Sudan border, Amhara-Sudan border. And the area should be the ones which are suitable to Fano style of fighting, because if the area is, if the terrain is plain, Fano fighters won't be able to survive there. They're already being hit. Drone strikes are being conducted. So it means that in open areas, in plains, they cannot survive. They need to have a place which has mountains, forests, and it is on border, Sudan-Ethiopia border. So that from there they can connect with Sudan and they can survive there too. That is what their strategy has been. Strategy is. It seems they have managed to find one such place. They are there, and this Woreda, where Fano fighters are now, shares border with Sudan. Very strategic place. Since yesterday, we have been receiving pictures, videos of Fano fighters from this Woreda. Fano fight. Let me elaborate. Name of Woreda is Kuara. Kuara is part of North Gondar zone of the Amhara region. Strategic place. Why? To the north of Kuara is Matimma. Matimma shares border with Sudan. There is a border crossing to Sudan, Ethiopia border crossing in Matimma. To the south of Kuara is Benishangul Gumuz region of Ethiopia. Benishangul Gumuz shares border with Sudan, and in Benishangul there is presence of Fano fighters. On Benishangul Amhara border there is presence of Fano fighters. So to the north Matimma, to the south Benishangul Gumuz, to the east there is Agu Awi zone, and to the west is Sudan. Kuara shares border with Sudan in western direction. How is terrain like in Kuara? Ideal terrain for Fano's type of insurgency. Forested mountains. This Kuara Woreda is full of forested mountains. Forested means Fano fighters can easily hide themselves in these mountains. Of course, there are settlements too, of course. There are settlements too in Kuara, but there are mountains spread across Kuara, and these mountains reach then the border. It means that Fano fighters can hide themselves there, they can protect themselves from drone strikes, they can move to Sudan, they can move to Sudan from Ethiopia, and from Sudan to Ethiopia. Supply is easily accessible, easily receivable for Fano fighters. Since yesterday, we have been receiving pictures, videos showing the presence of Fano fighters in Kuara. They've been trying to take control of Kuara. Fighting has been ongoing for days there. They are claiming, Fano fighters are claiming that they have pushed Ethiopian National Defense Force out of Kuara. It's difficult to say if ENDF has been totally pushed out of Kuara or not, but Fano fighters have shared their videos, pictures from Kuara. It means they are there. They are on Sudan-Ethiopia border, on Ethiopia-Sudan border. Whether they are in full control of Kuara or not, it does not matter. What matters is that Fano fighters have managed to reach Amhara-Sudan border. It's a very important development, viewers. Ethiopian National Defense Force cannot man the entire Sudan-Ethiopia border. Ethiopia-Sudan border is a long border, and in some areas there are mountains in border areas. So it means that it is almost impossible for ENDF to deploy all its troops along the border. Obviously, fence cannot be erected. Some borders are fenced, but it takes years to complete fencing of borders. Like in Pakistan, Pakistan-India border, there is fence on this border. Pakistan-Afghanistan border, there is a fence was constructed a few years ago. This border is not fenced, and there are mountains too. It means that Fano fighters have managed to connect with Sudan. And we know that Kemet fighters, Tigray fighters, Gomez fighters, all have their presence in Sudan, especially Kemet, Ago and Tigray fighters. And they carry out attacks. They enter Matimma from Sudan. They don't have such significant presence, Kemet fighters, on Ethiopia side of the border. They are based on Sudan side of the border. But Fano fighters, they have managed to entrench themselves on Ethiopia side of the border, and now you will see them establish their bases in Sudan too. Sudanese government is not in a position to enforce its writ in border areas. Why? Because Sudan military and rapid support forces have been fighting since April. Military is badly involved, it's badly trapped, you can say, in the war against the rapid support forces, RSF expanding, military under pressure. It means border areas are under regional governments, under some tribal elders, and you can have bases there. You can talk to the elders there, you can talk to the people there, and you can have bases. Military cannot man, Sudanese military cannot man entire Sudan-Ethiopia border. Same is the case with Ethiopian National Defense Force. ENDF cannot man entire Ethiopia-Sudan border. So, ideal place for Fano fighters to establish their bases is Sudan. And through Sudan, they can connect with Eritrea too. It's difficult for them to connect with Eritrea through Western Tigray. They can be tracked, they can be spotted, but through Sudan, they can easily contact Eritrea. Eritrean intelligence agents have their presence on Sudanese soil, especially in Kassala. And from there, they can connect with Fano fighters. Easily, they can have meetings too. So, I see the presence of Fano fighters in Kuara a very important development, a very strategic move by Fano fighters. Because we are seeing a long insurgency in the Amhara region if there is no intervention. There should be dialogue to resolve this conflict. Otherwise, if government believes it can crush Fano in a few days or weeks, it won't happen. It won't happen. Gradually, you will see Fano get support from abroad too. Abroad means from neighboring countries. Of course, all neighboring countries are not Ethiopian friends. Some have bilateral disputes with Ethiopia. Fano will find allies, you will see. And Fano already has immense support from diaspora abroad. Only way forward is dialogue. Otherwise, Ethiopian military cannot man entire Ethiopia-Sudan border to stop Fano fighters from having connection with Sudan. Videos, pictures being shared by several news sources, but it's very important development. So I want to analyze it and share it with you. Thank you for watching.